Hello and welcome to another video by K21Academy. In this video, our expert trainer will be discussing some of the most commonly asked questions on Azure security and how to prepare for the exam. We will be taking a look at general question allocations and providing you with some sample exam questions to help you better prepare for the certification. Additionally, we will be discussing what your CV should look like if you're interested in pursuing a career in Azure security. This video is perfect for anyone who wants to learn more about Azure security and take the skills to next level, whether you're a seasoned IT professional or just starting out. So sit back, relax, and get ready to learn all about Azure security.
Now, talking about what is covered in the exam, there are four objective domains you need to understand. So we have identity and access, secure networking, compute, storage and databases, and security operations. Each of these are well balanced. So you have 25 to 30% as part of the first module. Then networking, compute, and security operations are almost similar. It's like 20 to 25% of the exam. If you want to take the exam, what you should do is you should go to this page called AZ-500 exam. Okay. If you search for this, it takes you to this exam page over here. This is the main exam page that you should go to in order to see all the details about the exam. If you see over here, there are some exam prep videos available to you. So these are the videos that Microsoft has created to basically help you prepare for the exam. Okay. These are short videos. These are not like full-fledged courses, but all the topics that we have discussed, these are actually basically bite-sized videos for 30 minutes or 40 minutes to help you summarize all these topics. Okay. Just go through all these videos to understand this. Apart from this, you have a study guide available to you. All the topics that we have discussed, these are also mapped to something called as objective domains. So you see these objective domains available to you. So all these topics are mapped to these objective domains. Just go through each and every topic whenever you are preparing for the exam. Okay. Apart from this, if you see over here, you also get an exam sandbox. If you have never taken a Microsoft exam, you should definitely go to this exam sandbox and understand how to take a Microsoft exam. You have two options to take the Microsoft exam. Either you can take it from the office or you can also take it from home. If you go to the office, there are a few things you need to be careful of. So if I show you this, so if I talk about exam, so this is part of logistics over here. Okay. So you can take the exam from the test center where the staff is going to greet you in the lobby. They're going to ask you for an ID. You have to present a government ID. You have to lock all the personal content in a safe that they're going to give you. And you can take an exam in the test PC. And you also need to sign a non-disclosure agreement that you can't tell anyone any question that came in the exam. If you're taking it from home, you also have the opportunity to basically configure like you can configure like a remote access to your machine, and you have to download some softwares from Pearson. And once you've downloaded those softwares, someone can proctor you. They can view you and they can see your window and how you're basically taking the exam. But for this, you have to make sure that you don't have anything on your table. Your surroundings are clean. They will also ask you to basically scan your room. So they'll ask you to take photos all around your room. They'll also ask you to maybe move your camera all around your room if you're taking it from the home. If it is the first time you're taking a Microsoft exam, I wouldn't recommend you to take from home, because sometimes if you have internet issues or some other issues, you might lose out on the voucher as well. So what I would recommend is just make sure you can take the exam from the test center for the first time. But over time, when you get confident on it, you can also go to the test center and you can take the exam from the test center as well. So it all depends on how do you want to go about it. Now, talking about exam questions, you have different type of questions available to you. So in total, you get 210 minutes to take the exam. It includes a lot of other things like logistics as well. Okay. So they will ask you to stay there for 15 minutes. They'll ask you some papers to sign. You have to sign a few details over there. And you will get questions like yes, no questions, drag and drop questions. You may also get some case studies as well. Okay. So the type of questions you see in the exam are very different. Also, you need 700 marks to pass the exam. So if you score above 700, you will be good to go and you will definitely pass the exam. If you want to understand what kind of questions you see in the exam, basically you can go to this page that I was showing you earlier. So this is your exam demo page. Okay. So when you go to this link, basically it gives you this area where it shows you, do you want to, you have to agree to this Microsoft agreement. Then you click on next. On the next page, you get the option to basically read the details about the exam. Okay, so it will tell you the NDA and all of that. Once you've read all of this on the screen, you can go to the next screen. So it talks about how many questions you will have and how much time do you have. So usually you'll have like 2 hours, 10 minutes to take the exam, and you will have around 40 to 60 questions in the exam. So you'll have 40 to 60 questions. The scoring marks will be around 700. Okay. So once you're done with this, you can click on next, and you can start looking at the questions or type questions over here. Okay. So it talks about exam format and other things. And over here, it will show you what type of questions you will see in the exam. It will take a second for it to load. Basically, once you go to this page, over here, it talks about, are you ready to take the exam? And it gives you the options to look at the different exam questions that you might see. Okay. I've shared the main link where you can get to all these links from there. So you see over here, the first question is, what is your favorite town? This is just a sample question, but you see a single choice question. Similarly, I can review it later on. I can click on next, and I can go to the next question. The next question can be, I think it will be a multi-choice one. So you have multi-choice question. So it tells you how many responses are required. So only 2 responses are required. Similarly, if I go to the next question, it can be multi-choice, it can be drag and drop, it can be different type of questions that you might see in the exam. So I can define these details, and I can define, I want to review it later on. And this is a drag and drop question. Okay. So I have to drag this from the left hand side to the right hand side, and I can also move this window. Before you take the exam, make sure you go through this. Okay. If you don't go through this, you might face some UI challenges there. You also have a calculator. You also have a break option available to you. But I wouldn't recommend you to take a break until it is really urgent. Because if you take a break, you can't go back to the question that you've already answered. So make sure you only take break if it is really required. Okay. Otherwise, don't go for the break. Okay. So if I click on return to the exam, it shows you all the questions of the exam, and I can click on next and see all the types of questions that are asked over here. So you'll have anywhere from 40 to 60 questions, 2 or 10 minutes to answer those questions. And you may have labs. It's not true that you will have or you will not have, but you have to be prepared for the labs, because if you get prepared for the labs, it also improves your theory as well. So definitely make sure you do all the labs at least 3 times before you go for the exam. Now, apart from this, you have other things that you need to take care of. So you have basically some general strategies you can use to answer the questions in exam. Read the full question and answer one time. Identify the key features in the question. So key features can be, let's say, automated or ML, or like pipelines, train and run models. This is more aligned towards, I would say, ML. But if you talk about security, let's say if there is something written like keys or secrets, you'll think of key vault service. If something is written like object storage, okay, or SSE, server side encryption, you think about storage, or storage side encryption, you think about storage accounts, right? You think about SaaS. If there is written like SaaS, your storage account should come to your mind. Okay. So for all those type of different keywords, look for those keywords in the question. Now, also you'll see some areas where it will tell you the most cost effective way or the best fit. So if it talks about cost effective way, it means that you have to look at the option which is the cheapest option available to you. So these are some of the other keywords that are available to you that you should look for in the exam. I will also recommend use elimination method. So just look at some of the options. Out of 4 options, 2 options will definitely be very, I would say, not aligned to what is being asked. Always you will have a confusion between 2 options. They will be really closely aligned. So just look at those 2 options and use method of elimination to eliminate the wrong options. And also read the last line of the question. If you read the last line of the question, most of the question or the important crux of the question is asked in that last line. Okay. Obviously, wrong answer, you should eliminate those questions or answers. How would you know what is obviously wrong? Because if you have gone through all the services, you understand the security services. create like your own mind map on a notepad and add all the services that we have discussed and write one line about those services. If you do this, you'll remember all the services as well in the exam.
In the last segment, our trainer discussed about some strategies and questions allocations. And now we will be providing you with some sample exam questions to help you prepare for Azure Security Certification. Our experts trainer will also walk you through with each question and provide detailed explanations so that you can feel confident on the exam day.
So the first question is about Azure Active Directory. Okay, just read the question. So what you want to do, basically you want to synchronize your on-premise account to Azure. One of the important things you need to consider is you want to minimize the need for additional hardware deployment. Also, you want to ensure that they can keep their current login restrictions. So if I use method of elimination, what are the options which are eliminated in this case? I don't want additional hardware, too much additional hardware. So which option is eliminated now? So if you look at this, federation will require a lot of hardware. So federation is for sure gone. AD connected with federated authentication, this is also gone. So both these options are not applicable because in both the cases, you will have to basically configure your federation, either with ADFS server or with some third-party server. So this is gone. You want to enable login restrictions. When I say login restrictions, these are actually enabled on your Active Directory account. Okay. So the one more important keyword that you see over here is basically you have to configure login restrictions and you have to configure logon hours. And this is done using group policies. Okay. So if you want to configure group policies, you will use pass-through authentication or password hash synchronization. You'll definitely go with PTA, right? Because in PTA, your source of authentication will be on-premises servers. Although you may need to deploy some additional hardware, but it is not necessary in case of PTA. I can also install PTA agent directly on my domain controllers as well. Okay. So PTA should be the right answer for this because in password hash synchronization, your accounts will be synced to cloud and logon hours, basically, you're not configuring it on the Azure Active Directory level. So for this use case, pass-through authentication is the right answer. So if you see, this is the flowchart that we discussed, and it talks about pass-through authentication. So when you talk about this type of a use case, you want to configure on-premise logon hours, you have to use this solution over here. Let's look at one more question. Your company has set up a set of virtual machines set up in Azure. They want to ensure that IT administrator can request for access when they want to connect to the virtual machine. Which of the following could be used to fulfill this requirement? So which option you're going to go for? So you configure just-in-time access. INT protection, policies, and Azure automation are not related to this. This is more related to NSGs. So just-in-time access is the right answer for this. Okay. So you'll find a lot more questions like this. We have a few more questions, but you can go through these questions and you can basically answer these questions and see how well you do there. So make sure you go through these questions from the K21 portal. So if you go to K21 portal and if you go to these common questions, you'll see all these questions available to you on that page.
We hope you found our last segment helpful in preparing for the Azure Security exam. And in this segment, we will be discussing about how to prepare your CV if you're interested in pursuing a career in Azure Security. Also, our expert trainer will provide you with some tips and tricks on how to stand out in the competitive job market.
So how do you design your CV that you get good jobs? So one of the things that you would want to do is basically look at ATS systems. Okay. So there are some systems called as ATS systems. What these ATS systems do, they basically search for keywords within your CV. Okay. So if I want to find out which CV is better or how should I create my own CV, one of the sample CV is given to you over here on this link. Okay. So if I want, I can go to this link and I can basically download the CV and maybe replicate a similar CV for myself. But honestly, there are a lot of things that goes into a CV. If you want to have a very good CV, what you can do is basically search for any jobs. So if I go over here and let's say if I search for Azure Security jobs, and if I go to Google search, so maybe if I go to Google search, it shows me all the security jobs available to me. So on these security jobs, what I'll do, I'll scan through the job description. So if I look at this, in this job, I need to understand SIEM. So I have to have good knowledge on intrusion detection prevention. I have to have good knowledge, especially on Sentinel in this case. So I'll go through this JD. I'm okay with this. Let's say if I'm not aligned to it. So what I'll do, I'll go to another job role over here. Okay. Now in this job role, it talks about what all understanding you should have. Okay. Some of these will be like just normal jargons, but you should look at all these job description over here. Look for all these key terms, and whenever you want to apply for this, do one thing: copy everything and go to any page where it does keyword analysis. So just for search for keyword analysis and copy everything from this job description, paste it in keyword analysis. You'll find all the important keywords extracted from it. Once you have those keywords available with you, go back to your CV. So whatever CV you have created, add a skill section over here. Okay. Add a skill section over here. Within that skill section, add all those keywords. What this will do is, if 200 people are applying for that job, most companies will only request 4 to 5 people to interview. Out of those 4 to 5 people, you will have all those skills mentioned over here. If you don't have those skills yet, make sure you study on it. Study on all the skills, then add those skills over here. Okay. And make sure you add different sections and you properly add these sections. Okay. For example, you start with your overall expertise, a summary of your expertise. Then you have a certification section. Then you have a skill section. And then you talk about everything that you have done. Never make a CV more than one page. So this is really, really difficult. Okay. So whatever job I am applying for every job, I will create a custom CV. I'll never create the same CV for every job. Because if you do that, your CV will not be aligned to ATS systems. So these ATS systems actually track what you're doing over here. Okay. For example, this one talks about all the things related to your Azure resources. So all these skills should be with you. So you should understand ASG, Sentinel, Security Center, Defender, Azure Firewall, policies. So you look at all these JDs and you look at all the skills required here and accordingly design your CV. If you don't have skills, study for it, get those skills, and then add those skills to your CV. For every job, create a custom CV. Very, very, very important whenever you're studying for this. Okay. It shows you some examples on how you should go about it, but just research on ATS systems as well. Always make bulleted points. Don't write too much content. Only write important points. It should be action oriented. So you will not say, I've done this, I have done that. Not like that. So I'll say, I've saved my company this much dollars because we implemented this solution within how much time. Okay. So you defined all those things or all those important metrics in your bullet points. You don't mention like, I've done this, I've done that. If you do that, your CV will be like just like other 200 CVs that they have in the system. So make sure you're always writing those bullet points, which are action oriented. Okay. Also go through some ATS system trackers. If you search for some CV analyzers, I can't basically tell you a specific one. ATS CV analyzer. If I just search for this, there are various AI tools. Okay. Analyzer. So you just search for this ATS CV analyzer, search for some AI tools, which basically helps you to scan your CV for free and see if your resume is ATS ready or not. So try to do this and see what score you're getting for the ATS system. If your score is really high, you're good to go and you can apply for that job. Okay. So these are some of the things you should do before you basically apply for any jobs over here. Okay. So this is all about your CVs and other things.
So this is a clip taken from one of our very usual interactive sessions that we have on Microsoft Azure Security Engine Job and Certification courses, where we cover 4 modules, 16 plus lessons, 15 plus hands-on labs, exam preparation, and the most important, on-job support. We also provide you with a very detailed and comprehensive roadmap that will help you to go from a complete beginners to a very advanced level. We cover manage identity and access. We also talk about manage application access, manage access control. In module 2, we'll be talking about implement platform protection and configure advanced security for compute. Module 3 talks about managed security operations and configure and manage security monitoring solutions. Module 4 talks about secure data and applications. And in the week 5, we talk about tips and resources for clearing the certification, CV preparation, some sample exam questions, along with interview questions too, so that you are very confident while you take up the interview. So, if you're somebody who is pretty interested in taking up this as a certification and a career, then I would recommend you to join our free class on Azure Security for Beginners to get higher paid jobs. In this free class, we'll be talking about what is cloud security, why you must learn it, why learn Azure Security, cloud security, a defense in depth, and a lot more concepts. So, all you have to do is just log on to K21Academy.com/AZ-50002. You just have to click on book your free seat now, select an event date according to your availability, enter your full name, your email address, your phone number, and click on yes, save my seat. Moving ahead, you'll be seeing this kind of interface and this link on the extreme right. You have to save that link, add it to your calendars, and I'll see you in the free class. Till then, keep learning.